Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, hello, people. Welcome aboard to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Thank you so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate you, as always, here at the Hard Truth Studios. And we'll be bringing you the Hard Truth today with plenty of sound. Yesterday was Indiana Basketball Media Day here in Bloomington, so we'll have some sound from that, but we'll have plenty over the next week or so as we spoke to every player and heard from Mike Woodson as well. Terry Moore also spoke, and the women players were also in attendance and speaking also. But we spoke to all of the men's players, and we'll have sound from each and every one of those over the course of the next week or two, whatever. But I think today we'll hear from Ja'Kai Newton. Says he's 100%, man. He's ready to go, but it was fun talking to all of them because you get a sense of their personalities, and they are all different, as you would imagine. But Oumar Ballo is like a silent assassin. He's a quiet dude, but he's 7 foot 300 pounds. So the quiet assassin is what I'm going to dub him already. So, but we'll hear from Mike Woodson. We'll hear from Ja'Kai Newton, maybe the Charlotte football coach as well, as Indiana goes into week 4 of the college football season, and they'll take on Charlotte this weekend. Inside Indiana football tonight at Hoosier Hanks East with Coach Signetti, and I'm expecting that place to be packed. Not that it wasn't the first 2 weeks, it was. But it's going to be even more. I think it's going to get even more so. So get out there early and get yourself a seat. I believe it starts at 7:05, but you better get there about 6:05. I'm guessing 6:15, baby, to get you the best spot. How about Mr. Otani inching closer and closer to that 50 club, something that has never been reached. And it's utterly amazing. That's 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. And I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. Oh, that's the last time. But the fact that he is such a good pitcher as well, he is just a freak of nature of the old school baseball players, which is awesome. So you got that going for us as well, which is nice. Hope your day is going well and off to a good start as we inch closer and closer to this weekend's football action. Tomorrow night, Illinois and Nebraska with a big game. Both ranked teams, both have started the season very well. Both are undefeated. And it's going to be a tale because there's some bearing on Indiana's schedule there. Nebraska, of course, comes to Bloomington on October 19th. And while I expect Indiana to be 6-0 at that time, Nebraska could be, but they have to get past this Illinois team tomorrow night as they have a Friday night game, 8 o'clock on Fox. And I'll be locked into that. Both 3-0 squads. Illinois ranked 24th, Nebraska 22nd in this week's top 25 poll. And then, of course, Indiana takes on Charlotte on noon on Saturday. Ohio State, a noon game at home against We Are Marshall on Fox. Indiana's game on the BTN. Maryland hosting Villanova, another noon game. Then Penn State back to action against Kent State. So they should easily go to 3-0 as they play an 0-3 Kent State team at 3:30. Then a big game, another big Big Ten game this week. The Trojans, 2-0, travel to Ann Arbor in the Big House to take on Michigan, 2-1. And a friend of mine, Greg, sent me something last night that I wish I would have sent to Skylar, which I'll try to do that real quick. It surprised me that this was out so soon because this regards Indiana and Michigan. It's a game tracker. It's a game predictor or whatever, which usually they do that week by week, and especially as the games are there. So I was surprised to see this out so soon because Indiana doesn't play Michigan until November 9th. November 9th, a long way out. So why they would predict a game like that so far away, not knowing what the records of the teams are. But I hope that that's just their prognostication for today. But as I'm looking for this, I'm going to find it eventually. And I am going to send it to my man, Skylar, and hopefully we can get that up. So I just want to show you this. There we go. Anyway, it has Indiana with a 59.5% chance of victory already in the game with Michigan coming up. Now that is in Bloomington, and that matters. Matters big time, of course. And Skinny, this is coming your way right now. And I want to, when you get a chance, have you put that up. But 60% basically is the shot that ESPN, their matchup predictor, is already given Indiana over Michigan. How far are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 weeks in advance. 7 weeks in advance of an IU Michigan game. And ESPN is predicting that. I only bring it up just because of the craziness of that. You know, think of all the things that I've spoken about already with Indiana will be 6-0 after the conclusion of their first 6 games. They will be bowl eligible after the first 6 games of their season, which think about when that's happened before. Oh, yeah, it hasn't, other than actually, you know how many times I've got to put this out in a story I'm writing today, but do you know how many times that Indiana has started 6-0 with 6 straight wins? Well, once. One time in Indiana's history have they started with 6 straight wins. And I believe that was the 1945 Big Ten championship team. There you go. There's that predictor from ESPN. It's for those of you that are following along on the YouTube, you can see 59.5%, basically 60% matchup for Indiana to win that game. I just thanks Greg for sending that. Greg LaRock, appreciate you, my brother. But that's all right, Skylar, good enough. Crazy. It's just mind-boggling, but start grasping that this is the new Indiana. You know, I've used the phrase, this is not your grandfather's, it's not your father's, it's not even your older brother's Indiana football program, and start grasping onto that. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll get Coach Griff in early and often. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the fine folks from Hard Truth Distilling Company and Andy Moore Honda. As we come to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Studios, when we come back, we're going to bring you some hard truth of the college football season coming up next with our buddy Coach Shannon Griffin right after this.
This segment is brought to you by the Rusty Gator in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big-screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order. Indiana Sports Beat Radio is brought to you by the fine folks at the Hard Truth Distilling Company, including Big Woods Restaurants and Quaffon Beers. You can find their great products in your area. If not, ask for Hard Truth. Their great products like their Hard Road Rye, Sweet Mash Bourbon, or the Toasted Coconut Rum. Ask for the Hard Truth.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Studios here on this Thursday. Jim Coyle with you and joined by the coach Shannon Griffin. How are you, brother?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I cannot complain. Nobody wants to listen to it. So we'll move on, baby.
We all got problems, right?
Absolutely. A lot of stuff going on right now. We had IU Basketball Media Day yesterday, wrapped in between the start of this IU football season. And before you joined us, I put up something that a friend of mine sent me yesterday that was which I don't understand why they would have I didn't know ESPN put predictors out this far in advance, but it was Indiana and Michigan. I didn't think that they did, but anyway, it had basically Indiana with a 60% win predicted shot this far out, which why they would do that this far out, I don't know. I still believe that to be accurate. To be honest, I was just surprised to see it. That'll give us just more fuel of stuff to talk about. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in between then and now. So,
A lot of
lot
football.
to get to.
Yeah.
Ironically, I do wonder, Jack Tuttle, there's the potential of him being the quarterback at that time.
Well, they're going through a little bit of a quarterback controversy right now, it seems. And
I don't know if it's a controversy or just they don't know what to do. They don't, it's like, it reminds me of Indiana.
about a year ago.
Yep. For the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, Tuttle, I think, was hurt.
Yes.
And didn't participate that much in their fall camp. So he wasn't involved in that 2-horse race, I guess you could say. However, I know that he's well respected up there amongst his teammates as well as the coaching staff. So I don't think he's shown anything different there than he has here. At the time he was here, he got, just like Indiana quarterback at that time they got beat to hell. They just couldn't protect them. And Tuttle took some shots when he was here. And to say that kid was able to stand up half the time after some of those shots was a understatement. But yeah, he could play right now with all the algorithms out there in this world of sports and such, these predictors and predictions about who could or who might beat so-and-so at this percentage. I'm sure they're to a degree accurate based on the scientific approach to winning and losing. But we know that doesn't mean diddly squat until you play between the white lines. And like you had referenced there before, there is plenty of games between now and then that predictor is going to fluctuate as it pertains to who may or who may not win a ball game. But I still think that this game for Indiana, and I said it on was Monday night when I had our friend Mitchell Page join me, that if you ever wanted to get a true definition of what a trap game is, the game coming up Saturday is a trap game because it's sandwiched in between a UCLA Big Ten victory and Maryland coming into town the week after. And while Charlotte is not your typical powerhouse, they played UNC pretty tough. And then they came back last week against Gardner-Webb, who is an FCS program. And I think it's a non-scholarship FCS program similar to Butler. And they were down 20-0 and came back to win that game 27-26. Gardner-Webb chose to go for 2 late in the 4th to get the upper hand, and they did not get the 2-point conversion. And Charlotte is now coming into Bloomington Saturday with a 3rd-string quarterback who is now their starter because he's the one that orchestrated the comeback against Gardner-Webb. So Charlotte is in the midst of a quarterback controversy that's already down to quarterback number 3, who is a true walk-on at Charlotte.
Yeah, and not a lot of, you can't imagine a lot of depth there for the Charlotte team, and for good reason. I mean, they're still a team that's trying to move up to Division I in essence.
Yeah, they're young.
They've done that, but they're still, man, they played any and everybody in every conference. I mean, they played the top. They played at Tennessee. They played at Kentucky. They played at Louisville. Now they're playing Indiana.
They need money.
Hey, they're paycheck games. Games.
Their head coach is a multi-millionaire. If you've known anything about their head coach there, he wears sleeveless shirts, T-shirts mostly. He'll be on the sideline Saturday strolling around in a sleeveless shirt. And used to be he's a legend in the Baltimore area. I guess that what was it, Bosco Prep? I can't remember the name of the school, but he's been there for a number of years. But he used to run a billion hedge fund or something. So I'm sure he's got money that he's sinking into their program. But he was at Michigan under Harbaugh for a couple of years, and then he's just been at Charlotte now for is this the second year? I believe it's his second year at Charlotte. So. And you're correct. They're just trying to get themselves in a position where they can be a competitive football school. And they have to play schools like Indiana and North Carolina and some others because they need the money, not only for them, but to support the other programs. I'm sure they're at UNC Charlotte.
Absolutely. I mean, those are money generators for them. So, but I don't think it's going to matter. But, yeah, the last opportunity for a trap game, I get that. I don't know that Indiana. I think that Curt Cignetti has them in the right mindset.
No question.
So to not get caught in a trap game, because boom, they move on. Now they're thinking Charlotte. Maryland is not even a thought in their mind right now. At least that's been my experience around them. They're focused on the task at hand, and it served them well so far.
Well, right. And I said that from the standpoint of it being classified as a quote unquote trap game, just from the black and white of it or logistical aspects of it. Is you've got a team like Indiana who's riding high on a 3-0 start. They, manhandled UCLA in Pasadena to bring a lot of national attention to the program right now. And all of a sudden they're starting to feel really good about themselves. And here comes Charlotte into town. And again, like we've said before, this is not the old Indiana. And I'm sure Coach Cignetti made it perfectly clear right after the game that you got 24 hours because we got a team coming in next week that's going to want to disrupt everything that you've achieved to this point. And if we don't come back and play a game similar to what we've played the last 2 weeks, we could be in a lot of trouble, because if we give them an ounce of hope, it's going to be a dogfight. So that's the mindset that they have. And I agree with you completely on that with Coach Cignetti.
And that's a mindset they're going to have week after week, because
absolutely.
They'll get past this game, and then it does enter into the Big Ten season, and it stays there. And this is a team I'm telling you, I've said it since before the season. With the path to 6-0, well, they're well on that path, and I think they get there, and that will be only the second time in Indiana football history. That's like 125 years, people. And to start with 6 wins. One of the I think it was the bowl team that had a tie, like their second game in against Northwestern, or it was the Big Ten championship team of 45. I'm trying to remember, but it's just amazing, and it's going to continue to be amazing. Nebraska plays a big game Friday night against Illinois, and that's against two undefeated teams. That's going to weigh into Indiana's schedule, because if Nebraska is able to get by the Illini, they will more than likely come into that game with Indiana October 19th undefeated as well, and that is going to be a fist fight of a game. That is going to be a game that gets a ton of attention, because by then Indiana would be ranked. If they're 6-0, Nebraska would still be ranked at 6-0. So that would be something that most people did not see coming.
No, I don't think there's any question about that. I think there's some people surprised that they weren't ranked in the top 25 after the road win at UCLA, to be quite honest with you.
But they haven't done enough to tilt the mind of the national pundits, but they're definitely getting their attention.
Yeah, because the first thing the national media would say in reference to that game is that UCLA must really be that bad,
And they are.
And they are. I mean, they're going to struggle. I mean, they go to LSU this week, and they'll probably get pummeled in Baton Rouge, which is not a fun place to go play. But yeah, there's everything that we have discussed ad nauseum since we started discussing this way back in the early summer about the schedule, how it sets up for them, and what would it take to get to the point where they get to the bye week at 6-0, and the three teams that they were going to have to beat to do that, they beat one, UCLA. Now they still have to do the other two Big Ten opponents that they've got coming up here in a couple weeks, Maryland and Northwestern. And those are the type of teams and wins that propel you into those seasons where is pretty memorable. And I mean, it's kind of like what Maryland did a year ago when they got off to a hot start. Now they kind of stumbled down the stretch, but they also went right into the teeth of their schedule with the Ohio States and the Penn States of the world, and Michigan. So it's the teams that can take advantage of these types of setups can make a world of difference in your outlook, your attitude, your expectations. And right now, Indiana has done that through 3 weeks, and they're getting great play at the quarterback position. Rourke's game Saturday was as good a game that I've seen a quarterback play in terms of poise and how he directed things on the field. UCLA threw a lot of garbage at Indiana Saturday in terms of their fronts and their stunts and their blitzes, which were all zone blitzes. And he just sat back there cool as a cucumber and just said, okay, well, I'll throw it here because you're coming here. And that's what he did. And they got the big chunk plays and made some great plays. And then the defense turns in another pretty darn good performance outside of that last few minutes of a half that's driving Casignetti nuts, and would be me too, when you're giving up those scoring drives in the last 2 minutes of a half. And it's a little perplexing the way their defense is playing to have these freakish lapses in the last few minutes of a second quarter. The last 3 weeks has led to touchdowns. It's really kind of
I think part of it is at that time teams are getting a little desperate, so they're throwing caution to the wind a little bit, but not to make an excuse. But I agree with you. And something else to note, that Maryland does not play this week. So when Indiana plays them next week, that'll be the second Big Ten game, of course, but both Big Ten games will be against conference teams that had a week off or an extra week to prepare for the game with Indiana. Obviously didn't do UCLA very well.
Well, it didn't do them any good because it's so early on, but for a team like Maryland or even Northwestern, probably more Northwestern because of Braun and he's a really good football mind at Northwestern. Anytime you get 2 weeks to prepare for a team, it's an advantage. As long as you don't go overboard. I mean, I've seen programs go overboard with a bye week, and they're going to have every statistical analysis done, and they get overloaded and paralysis by analysis in that regard. But it's an advantage. There's no question. But at the end of the day, whether you have one more game film or one more, week of prep, in today's game, I'm not quite sure it is as much as it used to be, but hey, man, it's get on the train and just ride along and see what happens. But they're doing so well offensively, Jim. It's a little scary in some regards. They've, Rourke, I don't think's thrown an interception yet. Knock on wood.
They've not had a turnover yet.
Yeah, they haven't had any turnovers, so they're +6 in the turnover margin. And right now, it's hard to find a weakness in their game. honestly.
Well, yeah, don't say that. Don't hex them because it's early and they'll have to keep going. But yeah, it's Indiana gets to continue to improve. That's a positive thing. It's early on for them as well. And you're talking about a pretty new group of guys together. So they've still got growing to do, which
that's the crazy thing.
Tell you they're going to get even better than they are right now.
That's the crazy thing. I mean, you're talking about a team that was, I don't want to, it thrown together. I mean, it's not I don't mean that in a negative sense, but the reality of it is that it kind of was. But the fact that you've got a bunch of guys that are just playing their fourth game together as a unit is a little bit of a crazy thought when you talk about how many new faces are dotting the lineups on both sides of the ball from different backgrounds, from different schools and such, and they're playing at a high level. Losing CJ West is a blow, as is Pounds, but
now they'll lose them for the first half and they'll get them back in the second half.
Yeah, they'll get them back. I mean, they don't lose them the entire game. They should have
better against Charlotte than against Maryland or.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't think CJ should have gotten called on that targeting call that he got with. That was BS. How about
the one that was against UCLA that Aiden Fisher?
Yeah.
He gets drilled in the head, and I'm like, how? It's not even close. He got drilled in the ear hole with the crown of a helmet, and how is it not targeting? I don't get it.
I don't either. And the reality of it is that one was as violent of a hit on a defenseless player, meaning somebody from the blind side, that Pounds got called for on the receiver from UCLA. And by the rule, that was the correct call against Pounds. But why Fisher's situation didn't warrant a targeting penalty, I don't understand that one. I know they gave a little bit in the TV announcement of it, a better, I guess you could say, explanation, but I didn't necessarily agree with it. But the one that got me, though, was CJ's penalty. Here's a guy that's in the midst of trying to recover a fumble that the quarterback also was trying to go for it, and they're both diving for it, and they hit with no intention of him trying to make that type of play that it's going to happen. I mean, it wasn't a violent thing. It was just the course of two guys going for a fumble where I just don't understand how you can give protection to UCLA's quarterback in that situation, because I think you should lose protection of the rule once there is a fumble in the midst of a scrum. And that one, to me, I wish there was a way schools could appeal some of those type of rulings when they feel that it's gone against them and it didn't warrant that. Now, the other ones, I just don't, those are pretty obvious. And I'm with you on Aiden Fisher's that we're lucky he's not sitting in concussion protocol this week.
Yeah. It's those rules. It's the implementation of them that drives me insane. But let's talk some history. Curt Cignetti is the fourth of 30 Indiana football coaches to open their career with 3 straight wins.
That's right.
He's in position to become the first in 140 years of football
to win 4,
to go 4-0.
Wow.
To start 4-0. The things that are falling by the wayside, the 77 points, that was against Western Illinois, yada, yada. I don't care. You think that they haven't played a Western Illinois in 140 years? They have.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. This wall's coming down. I mean, people, there are records that are falling 140 years old? Bam, that's enough. That says a lot. Well, brother, I appreciate it, and look forward to it, and looking forward to the show Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, I guess, since it's a
yeah, it's a noon. You'll be enjoying that one.
Actually, absolutely. Look forward to the post-game show, and we'll talk to you then.
I will wait to see you then on Saturday, and hopefully it's beautiful weather and there's a big crowd. And tonight you'll catch me breaking down these Charlotte 49ers for you and getting everybody prepared for Saturday.
Check him out at Hoosier Tailgate. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Big thanks to Coach Shannon. And up next, Bob Kravitz from BobKravitz.com joins us back with more to the Hard Truth Studios right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at indyhomepros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here, coming to you from the Hard Truth Studios on this Thursday. And this segment brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East, where tonight you can find Inside Indiana Football with Don Fisher and Coach Signetti. Welcome aboard, Bob Kravitz from BobKravitz.com. Robert, how are you, sir?
I'm splendid. How are you, buddy?
Always great when I get to look at your beautiful face.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying. My wife feels the same way.
I bet she does.
Yeah.
I bet she does. How's your week been, brother?
Good, man. Good. I completely forgot that yesterday was media day down at IU, so I didn't go to that. But, yeah, I went out and talked to Joe Flacco, backup quarterback for the Colts, wrote a column that's on bobkravitz.com right now, and preparing for Colts and Bears on Sunday. And the Fever will open up their playoffs against We Don't Know on Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, it begs the question, is a tutelage for Anthony Richardson more important than winning right now?
Yes.
Because that's where they are.
Absolutely. I thought they could still win 9 or 10 games, and they still could, with Anthony just kind of developing as we go along. But yes, the most important thing that can happen this year is he plays 17 games. He's got to play 17 games and, learn how this game is played. I talked to Flacco. Flacco said the light didn't really come on for him until about 20 games into his career. Now, and he played 2 full seasons at the University of Delaware. You're looking at Anthony Richardson. He played 1 full season at Florida. So 13 games he played in college, and he's only played 4 plus. Well, let's see. He played. I got to recheck my math, but he hasn't played very much, is what I'm saying.
You have to take your shoes off for that, brother.
Exactly right.
No one wants to see that.
Well, 13 games in college, and 6 years. So this will just be his. Yeah, really, since high school, just his 19th, 20th start since high school. So, people get bent out of shape. He doesn't make the layups. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. Give it time. It's going to take him a year or 2 before he figures it out.
Yeah, tonight the Jets and the Patriots. That's speaking of a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, one that's going the other way. He's on the backside heading out. Did he play much in that last game?
Rodgers?
Yeah. Okay, I didn't get to watch it, so.
Oh yeah. He played okay. The Jets have a good enough team to make the playoffs this year. I have no doubt about that. It's just a matter of keeping the old man healthy.
Exactly, which is a story for most football teams, keeping your quarterback upright. Not sure if you got to see it, but well, first of all, Purdue welcomed in Notre Dame, who was smarting from a home upset loss to Northern Illinois the previous week, that's going to haunt them. But they took it out on the Boilers, man, 16-6-7. That's just a flat out beat down.
That was the worst loss in 130 some odd years of Purdue football. Most one-sided loss. I watched about 10 minutes of that game and said, "This is over. This is over." Now I have to admit, I went to the bar to watch IU with a bunch of friends. So if you're looking for a deep dive into what happened in that game, I'm not your guy, because we were drinking beers and just enjoying the hell out of watching the Hoosiers kick the crap out of UCLA.
Well, that's pretty much the long and the short of it right there. It started early and often, and it just stayed that way as Indiana goes out to Los Angeles, Pasadena, and plays UCLA in the Rose Bowl, and as a 2.5-point favorite. You will have no idea for the rest of my life how pissed I'm going to be at myself for not betting that game and betting large, because that was a game that
you felt good about. I know
into it that Indiana was going to win by 3 touchdowns. I'm like, this is one of those rare opportunities where you actually get you can't lose. And it was, and it didn't dawn on me quick enough, and I could have made enough for a down payment on a home on that one.
Well, you got what, Indiana over 6 wins?
Oh, yes, easy.
Yeah, so you're sitting pretty, it seems to me.
I can see that the ticket standing right up in front of me, baby. So
yeah,
I got it tacked to the wall.
I don't blame you. That was a good call. I'll tell you what, I I don't bet hardly anymore, but I never bet on a game I cover. But I would have bet the house that Green Bay was gonna at least cover. I really felt like I did not foresee them running for 274 yards on the Colts, but I really felt like it was a game they could win. They had won 11 straight home openers, and even with Malik Willis, I felt that they had a really good chance against a Colts team that doesn't know its ass from its elbow right now. So, yeah, that was one of those I wish I'd bet, but I can't. I can't on a game I'm covering. I don't want anything to get in the way of my objectivity.
Oh, I hear you, and I same. But that was that one opportunity. I'm going to regret that forever. I'm like, screw it. I said, this is personal here, baby.
I'm not sure how good IU is or how bad UCLA is, but I tend to think it's the former. I think Indiana is pretty damn good. And the fact that they've got 13 guys from JMU who've all played together, with this team, that's a good thing. A lot of times you've got guys coming in the transfer portal from all over the place, but I think it gives them a nice foundation with guys who know how Cignetti likes to do things.
Not only that, you've got Curtis Rourke, who came in from Ohio, along with Miles Cross. Mm-hmm. So they've got a connection, and that has worked out well for Indiana. And speaking of Indiana, let me throw some numbers down for you. Curt Cignetti is the 4th of 30 Indiana football coaches to open their careers with 3 straight wins.
I'll be damned.
Do you know how many in 140 years of football have opened with 4 straight wins?
I'd say 1.
Well, you will be correct after this week.
Okay. Yes.
He will become the first ever in 140 years. So in 4 weeks, the records that are falling are mind-boggling. In week 2, they set a points record. They set a yardage record. Now Cignetti is going to set this record. That's in the first 4 weeks.
Yeah,
that's not accidental.
Right. No, I mean, there's a lot to be impressed by. One thing that I've noticed is that people are ripping Tom Allen, because Tom Allen was crazy on the sideline. It's like, how nice is it that this guy, is calm, cool, and collected. And Tom Allen did some really good things for Indiana University, and I'll never forget the pandemic season. It was one of the few things that, made it livable during that period, watching them play. So, say all the good things you want about Cignetti, but I wouldn't rip on Tom Allen. I just think that's bad form.
Yeah, I don't think that Tom Allen needs to be ripped on because that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. Your microphone does sound weird, by the way.
What's that?
Your microphone does sound weird, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that worked. How bad is it?
No, I can hear you.
Just trying to get that.
Sounds a little tinny.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know what has gone on there, but trying to get it fixed. But we'll keep working on that. But it's like a divorce. People that get divorced and then just hate each other, it drives me. I'm like, especially when they get remarried or they find someone that they say is the love of their life. I'm like, dude, if you didn't go through the other, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
If it didn't go through Tom Allen, they would not have Curt Cignetti.
Well, Tom Allen showed that it's possible. Granted, it was a unique set of circumstances in the pandemic year, but it's. I'm just reading the note. Did Bill Mallory start 4-0 in '85? Check it out.
That's what I'm wondering. What? No, wait a minute. No, he lose every game the first season of his career at IU? Didn't they?
Yeah, I thought he was 0-11.
Yeah. Sorry, Robert. Wrong on that one, bro.
Yeah, sorry.
But, it's just amazing. I put up something earlier that Indiana, I don't know why ESPN put this out, but the game matchup with Michigan, which is weeks away, they've got Indiana with a 60% win factor in that game already.
Wow. Well, I don't know what to make of Michigan yet. I mean, it's still a little early, but I don't think they're going to be very good.
No, quarterback problems. They don't know what's going on, and we'll see about that. But, think about this, Bob. Just consider the fact that Indiana, in my opinion, is going to be favored. And they've got 9 games left. I don't see how they're not favored in 8 of those 9 games.
Except for Ohio State.
Even when Nebraska comes to Bloomington, Indiana's going to be 6-0. You're not going to make Indiana an underdog at home at 6-0.
Right.
First of all, it's mind-boggling to consider the fact that they're going to be favored in 8 out of their 9 final games.
Tells you about their schedule.
And actually, that will make them favorites in 11 of 12 games, which is nuts. But let's just 11-1, an 11-1 Indiana team. How crazy is that? But then they could still not make the Big Ten championship game, and depending upon what goes on with Oregon and USC.
Well, I mean, hell, they're getting votes for the top 25. So, Indiana in the playoff. Can you see playoffs? Can you see that? I don't think
that's the thing.
They gotta beat Nebraska at home. Go to 6-0, 7-0, and then we're talking. But until then, they haven't beaten anybody. I don't think UCLA is going to be any good this year. So as exciting as it is, and it's great, and I'm happy for IU. I'm happy for the alma mater. Let's see what they do in a couple of games against Nebraska, and then we'll have a better idea.
Absolutely. I mean, it's easy to get excited, but there's good reason to be excited. This level of excitement has not been around Indiana football.
Oh, yeah, since the pandemic year.
And the fact that this is not there will be no asterisk next to anything this team does.
No. Hey, by the way, just changing the subject real quickly, since you live in that part of the world, have you ever played golf at Foxcliff?
No, I have not. It sounds beautiful though.
Yeah, I'm gonna as soon as we're done, I'm gonna get in my car and go on down there.
That sounds like a shocker to me. Of course,
it's a boys club tournament, boys and girls club.
Oh, very nice. Very nice to see that.
Yeah.
The Big Ten basketball schedule. Yesterday was, media days, as you mentioned, but the Big Ten schedule will be released today on the Big Ten Network after we're done today. It comes out at, I think, 4 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. So that's going to be exciting to see all those matchups coming out.
I have no idea what to make of IU. I mean, just because of all the new faces, they got Renew coming back. They got Mbaka. I mean, I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to be a top 3, top 4 team in the Big Ten. But with all those new faces, how do you know? But we're going to find out about Mike Woodson this year, both in terms of roster construction.
Jason, my friend, what's new? What's up next for you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got the Fever and the Colts on Sunday, so I'll be writing that. I got a Joe Flacco talking about Anthony Richardson. That's up on bobkravitz.com right now. And I'm going to go play some golf.
Sounds good, my brother. I appreciate you very much. Make sure everybody's going to bobkravitz.com and checking out Bob. I hope you have a great golf game today.
Thanks, buddy. Need the help.
Absolutely. Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. More coming up after this.
Segment is brought to you by The Ugly Grouper.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. The Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Morale in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Testing 1 2 Radio is brought to you by the fine folks at the Hard Truth Distilling Company, including Big Woods Restaurants and Quaffon Beers. You can find their great products in your area. If not, ask for Hard Truth. Their great products like their Hard Road Rye, Sweet Mash Bourbon, or the Toasted Coconut Rum. Ask for the Hard Truth. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Studios here on this Thursday. Jim Coyle, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, joined now by Chris Denari of the Pacers. Chris, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jim. Just got back from Jersey City. Spent the last 3 days with NBA broadcasters from across the league, radio, TV, producers, directors. I had a great chance. I was the host and went one-on-one with Commissioner Adam Silver.
Wow.
So that was good. So, yeah, when this week hits, you know you are very close to the start of training camp and then preseason and then the regular season. So mindset total shift right now, if you will, with the NBA season just around the corner.
Yeah, isn't Media Day September 30th for the Pacers?
Yes, a week from Monday will be Media Day, September 30th, and then October 1st will be the first training camp practice.
Man, all kinds of. Yesterday was IU basketball Media Day. 2 weeks from today is Big Ten basketball Media Day. The Big Ten basketball schedule comes out today. We've got IU football just going nuts. There's everything in it, but it's great. It's all fun stuff to talk about right now.
Oh, no question. I talked to Noah Eagle at the meetings. He did the game, the IU UCLA game at the Rose Bowl on Saturday night, and I watched that game, and it was tremendous. I mean, they were wearing IU uniforms, but that was not an IU team that we've seen over the last few years. So congratulations to Coach Signetti and what they've done. They still have a long way to go, but what a start to go out west and, in the Rose Bowl and dominate UCLA in their first Big Ten game. It was impressive.
Absolutely. And I gave this stat a minute ago. Kurt Signetti is about to become the first coach in 140 years of Indiana football to start his career at Indiana 4-0.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just mind-boggling. Not that it's, this tremendous thing, but to start it out, if you can do it, it ain't bragging.
Right.
And that's kind of where we are right now.
Well, there's no question. I mean, just reading and following it the way that I do, what he did in the transfer portal, as far as bringing in guys that he was familiar with, guys that were hungry, guys that wanted to prove a point. And it's been very, very impressive. And so I'm sure, I'll be following and watching. I mean, I always do, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch them the remainder of the fall and see what they can do.
Well, and what's really ironic now that I think about this, we've seen a coach in this state that was very outspoken and become very, very successful, and the state just fell in love with him. I can see that very same thing happening to Kurt Signetti.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I mean, when you think about, Bob Knight back in the 70s, came to Bloomington and, transformed the culture of IU basketball. I mean, there's no
immediately.
And you think about what he did, in the early 70s and then leading to the national championship in 1976. There's no question about that. So, it's going to be fun to follow. I think, looking at the Big Ten, I'm very intrigued by the Nebraska matchup in a few weeks, because I think Nebraska's quarterback is dynamic. I mean, he looks like when you watch him, he wears the same number and he throws off his back foot. He looks like Patrick Mahomes. So there are going to be a lot of great matchups. And Jim, I think that's to me about college football, college sports is I'm glad they went to the 12-team playoff, because some people will say, well, that does not make the regular season meaningful. I think it does. And I think it gives, if you lose your first game or so, it used to be, well, you're out, you don't have a chance. And we all live for the playoffs, no matter what it is, whether it's Major League Baseball, the NBA, the National Hockey League. We love March Madness. We love the tournament. So I just think the more that you can have in the tournament or in the playoffs just makes it that much more exciting. And I think we've seen that here early in college football.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking ahead right now at the college football playoffs. And all right, I'm going to pretend that Ohio State goes 12-0. And, they're in the Big Ten championship game. There are going at least 3 teams. Oregon could easily go 11-1 because their schedule is fairly simple. I've looked at that. USC, I've got to look at their schedule, but they're right now, to me, they might be the second best team in the conference. They've got the best win so far. And then let's say IU, crazy as it sounds, goes 11-1, which is not nuts because they're going to be favored in 8 out of their final 9 games, with the exception of the Ohio State game. But if you had an Indiana team at 11-1, and an Oregon team at 11-1, and Ohio State, that would be fine. But if UCLA is also in that same category, Indiana's going to get screwed. I don't see them taking 4 teams out of a conference, or at least out of the Big Ten. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, looking, just as I've glanced at it, I mean, what you could have what, 4 teams, maybe 5 out of the SEC, or 4, and 3 or 4 out of the Big Ten. That leaves you potentially 3 to 4 other teams. You have Big 12 qualifier, that kind of stuff. So I think it's. I mean, at some point though, Jim, I don't know how good UCLA is going to be. I mean, can they run the table the rest of the way? I don't even know what their schedule is, but at some point, head-to-head matchup has to count. I mean,
and I will say this for USC, they do have a tougher road than say Oregon, which would leave some room for Indiana. They end the season at home against Notre Dame. They also get Nebraska at home, luckily for them. Let's see. And then they also get Penn State at home. So their toughest games are all home games. So they have that going for them. They do go to Michigan this week, but I'm not expecting them to have much trouble in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, isn't it cool to talk about that? I mean, you go back to last October with the Pacers, had not been in the playoffs in 3 straight years, get to the final of the in-season tournament, now the NBA Cup, and then make the run to the Final Four of the NBA. I mean, nobody expected that. And then, you talk about IU football, we'll talk about the Indiana Fever tonight play their final regular season game. They're already in the playoffs as the number 6 seed. They've clinched a winning record for the first time in, 7 years. And I think they have a legitimate chance to be a threat in the WNBA playoffs because of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell and the way they've played after the Olympic break. So I think that's the fun part about sports. I mean, teams that you weren't necessarily counting on a year ago, you were not counting on the Pacers. You haven't counted on IU football, very much over the last how many ever years. And here all of a sudden, you have some momentum, you get a big win, and it puts you in a different limelight. So I think that's pretty cool.
And while the portal has a lot to do with it, it all goes back to the man at the top and Kurt Signetti, because they've had opportunities to do this before. Even the portal's been around for a few years, but what is going on now is different. It's special, and it's going to catch on quick with the IU fans. There was hundreds of them that, if not thousands, that hung around after the UCLA game, waiting for the team to come off the field. It was a pretty cool sight out there at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, the key, as is, his message is resonating with his team. I mean, a lot of coaches have messages and it doesn't go anywhere, right? And that's when you see coaching changes and that type of thing. But early on, you can see that since he took over last winter, that when they're in the weight room, when they're doing all the things that they're doing before they ever hit the field, for fall camp, I mean, that message has resonated. There's a confidence there that group has, and there's a hunger. I mean, to your point, and they were very smart with how they went into the portal. IU is investing NIL money, those types of things. So I think that's the whole fascinating thing to watch. Even though things are different than they were maybe 5 years ago, you still have that same fandom, that same enthusiasm for your school, and I'm fine with it. I like it. I mean, I think there was always going to be, as you're changing things, there was always going to be some chaos, right? Some chaotic times, and we probably will still see some of that again with conference realignment, those types of things. But in the end, as a fan, and those fans that are listening and watching now that are IU fans, they're going to be a fan and they're going to support their team.
Absolutely. Pacers coming up on the 30th. We've got Media Day as the season is back coming around. What are your expectations for this year? As a lot of the fans got a taste of this newer team last season. This is kind of year 2 of that, where they hopefully grow some. Tyrese Halliburton growing into his role as a leader for this team as well.
Yeah, I think they proved to themselves what they're capable of last year, but you can't rest on that. There's a lot more. Rick Carlisle, I think, did a radio interview here in Indianapolis over the last few days, and he said, look, we can't just look back and be satisfied with what happened last year. Yeah, we made the Eastern Conference Finals, but we want more than that. And I do think, Jim, the league, there's as much parity in the NBA right now as there's ever been. Joe Dumars, the former Pistons guard, is the VP for operations in the NBA. And and he talked to us yesterday. And I also brought up the numbers with Adam Silver. In the last 6 years, there have been 6 different NBA champions. In the last 6 years, 14 of the 30 teams have played in conference finals. And in the last 6 years, there have been 9 different teams in the NBA finals. I think that's great because that gives hope to a lot of franchises. And I think, the Pacers are one of those, but they also have to know that if you look at the landscape of the East, you still have Boston, you have New York, you have Philadelphia, Miami, Orlando, Cleveland. There's just a lot of talented teams. So you've got to raise your game and take it up a notch. Donnie Walsh told me many, many years ago when I took this job, he goes, look, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And I think that's in life, but it's particularly true in sports, that each year you have to get better incrementally. If you just stay the same, well, everybody's passing you by. So I think that's the focus for the Pacers. Appreciate what they did last year, but take it to another level.
Yeah, it's just, even during the season, you start off, you hopefully by mid-season, you're a much better team than when you started. So you can head into a playoff form or whatever it is that you're heading towards by the end of the season. So that is the plan and the hope for Pacer fans is they got a big taste of that last year, maybe more than they expected, but that is probably going to be the expectations again for this year.
Yeah, because now when you walk into the arena, you are different than you were before, and the other team recognizes that. When you haven't made the playoffs for 3 years and you've won 25 games and 35 games, you walk into an arena and, maybe a team looks at you and doesn't take you, as serious as a serious contender. Well, now you walk in based on what you've done last year, on a national scope. You went to the in-season tournament final. You went to the Final Four of the NBA. You look different to your opponent. And so I think you have to recognize that.
Absolutely. What is coming up next for you?
Have a golf outing today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You and Bob Kravitz. Bob Kravitz, he's beating the band to get out as well, man. And so I'm like going,
he may be going where I'm going. I mean, I'm going down to Foxcliff in Martinsville. So I've got a little bit of a trek from Carmel today.
I thought he said Fox Hollow. Maybe he had it mixed up.
Yeah, I'm going to Foxcliff. It's the I think the Morgan County Boys and Girls Club event that I have not played in, so I have a chance to play in that. Next Tuesday, we have a chance to sit down. All the media does with the front office with Kevin Pritchard, Chad Buchanan. That'll happen next Tuesday. Next Wednesday is the Pacers Foundation golf outing. We do that at Brickyard Crossing, and then the following Monday is media day. The following Tuesday is the first day of practice, and but I've been doing a lot of work, Jim, on my all the score sheets that I put together. I go through on my computer. I'm cutting, pasting all the trades, all the free agency, all the draft picks. So that's something that I've started about the 1st of September, and I'll continue to work on that as we get ready for the season.
It'll be here before you know it, man. Right around the corner. Media days on the 30th of this month, and look forward to it, buddy. Have a great outing in Martinsville.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
You betcha. Appreciate you. Chris Denari of the Indiana Pacers joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. More coming up. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette joins us here at the Hard Truth Studios when we come back right after this.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order.
country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at indyhomepros.com. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday, brought to you by our good friends here at the Hard Truth Studios and Cheryl Sizemore and RE/MAX Realty. Make sure if you're in the home market for a home in the Indianapolis area, reach out to Cheryl at indyhomepros.com. Welcome aboard our good friend Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Saw Dylan down at IU Basketball Media Days yesterday. Busy day, busy travel day for you, brother.
Oh, yeah, as always, going back and forth, but learned plenty yesterday, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, what stood out?
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing was that there was so much talk of X's and O's, right? Like it was different than the past couple of years where there was no real discussion of expectations or winning or getting over the hump. Mike Woodson did not say those words yesterday, I think, for the first time in basically any press conference. So it was a little bit different. There was a lot of X's and O's talk. There was a lot of here's what the style of play is going to be different. Here's how it's going to be different. Here's the players that we're going to need to play a little bit differently. So I was interested in that. I thought that the idea of having Luke Goody or Mackenzie Mbako play the 4, that's really interesting to me, right? I think that is the best lineup that IU has. And so I think they're going to start Malik Renew at the 4. And we're going to see, because obviously he said he's been working on guarding smaller players. He's been working on playing out on the perimeter. They're going to need him to do that. But I also think lineups where he plays the 5, because Omar Bello is not a 40-minute per game guy. He never was at Arizona. So with lineups with Malik Renew at the 5 and Mackenzie Mbako or Luke Goody at the 4, I think those are good. I think those lineups work. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Well, it's actually gives Indiana something they have not had in the last couple of years, options within the game. multiple options, multiple different attacks by mixing those lineups up. When you have Malik Renew and Umar Ballo on the floor at the same time, it's going to be a completely different look than when he's out of the game and Malik has moved down to the 5, because Malik can do two things. He can take his guy out. That's not going to be something Ballo does. He's in the paint. He's not going anywhere else. But he doesn't have to. He's 7 foot, 300 pounds. He just needs to throw that hip, baby, and he'll clear some space. And I talked to Malik about that. He's like, yeah, I say, man, you got to be careful. Can't be catching a stray bow from Umar. He goes, that comes with some power. But the mix of opportunities that they have is something, obviously, and we'll talk the depth that Indiana has, and they are deep. The guards make them so deep. Luke Goody helps to make them deep. Having Ja'Kai Newton said he's 100% healthy makes them deep. So there's so many things that they have that, I mean, they basically have doubled their talent pool from last year to draw from. The guys that could actually come in and produce, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last year we saw basically they had the most success toward the end of the season where they shortened their rotation to basically 6 or 7 guys and no one else was playing, right? I don't think that's going to be how they have success this year. I think they're going to have success this year by running a lot of guys in there, by playing a bunch of different lineups and keeping people off balance. I mean, that's what Luke Goody told me that yesterday, was basically looking at this team. He thinks one of its strengths is going to be how hard it is to scout. Like he was putting himself in the seat of an opposing player or an opposing coach, looking at film and trying to figure out how they attack IU. And he's like, it's going to be really difficult because we have so many different lineups that we can run. It's going to be hard to prepare for everything. And so that's not something Indiana has had the last couple of years. Even in 2 years ago when they had Trace and Jalen Hood-Schifino and Race, you knew what you were getting, right? There wasn't the depth on the team that you would have liked in that year. You knew what kind of lineups IU wanted to run. You knew what they wanted to do. They just had so much talent, especially with Trace and Hood-Schifino that year, that they could do what they wanted to do anyway. But I think this year they have talent and also the ability to do a lot of different things. And so I think that is going to be really interesting to see. We still have no idea how the guard rotation is going to shake out. We don't know who's going to start between Miles Rice, Kanan Carlisle, and Trey Galloway. We don't know what the minutes are going to look like there. We don't know what Gabe Cupp's role is going to be, if he's going to have one. We don't know what Bryson Tucker's role is going to be. That was one thing that struck me yesterday, was the entire team is all in on Bryson Tucker. They think that he is going to have a role this year. He's super athletic. They're impressed by him. I'm impressed by him, quite frankly. He carries himself like a veteran. He is not a guy who is like, oh, I'm here, I'm a freshman, I'm trying to learn. No, he carries himself like a veteran who expects to play. And he apparently has gone out in practice and shown that he deserves to be on the floor somehow, somewhere. So I'm interested in that as well.
Which is tough to do, again, like I said, because there are so many guys you have to go through, whether it's Kanan Carlisle, Miles Rice, Trey Galloway, he's coming back from an injury. You know, Anthony Leal, Gabe Cupp's played last year. Ja'Kai Newton says he's 100%. So there's just so much to work through. Let's hear what Mike Whitson had to say yesterday. I'm not sure what the question is. Zach Osterman asking it, but we'll hear what.
Mike, obviously added a lot of pieces in the offseason. I know it's early, but especially as you worked with these guys through the summer, what are some of the things you think you guys will be able to do a little bit differently when you bring in a Miles Rice, a Kanan Carlisle, a Luke Goody, and Omar Ballo?
Well, we're a little bit deeper than we've been in the past years with our ball club. We still have an inside presence with Ballo and Malik, and LT, we can post some as well. But we got guards now that are a lot quicker than we've had in the past. X was probably the quickest guard we've had since we've been here. But I think Miles and Kanan bring a totally different look. And then with Goody, Bryson being, the young freshman who's, very talented, still got to learn the college game, but has played extremely well, I think, this summer for us. But Goody brings us some shooting. we can get Gallo back and get him back in the form that he shot the ball a couple years ago, that will help. And McKenzie has shot the ball well, and Miles and Kanan can make shots. So, I mean, it just brings us a totally different look, and we're still in the process of putting it all together.
There you go. And that's about the long and the short of it. But they've added so much talent. And when they do get Trey Galloway back, maybe with all this added talent, it takes a ton of pressure off of him. And maybe it makes it easier for him to get his shooting touch back.
Yeah. I think, and he said that yesterday, was basically he thought the reason that he didn't shoot particularly well last year, in part, was because he was taking a lot of shots off the dribble and on the run, which are the toughest shots to make for a shooter, right? Like you'd rather have a catch and shoot. You'd rather be able to just have an open shot where someone kicks it out to you. And he didn't get very many of those last year because of X's injury. He was forced to be the primary ball handler for a lot of the year. And so you're getting shots that are off the dribble, that are moving, that are difficult. And so he thinks that this year he's going to be playing off the ball a lot more because of Kanan Carlisle, because of Miles Rice. And he's going to get a lot more catch and shoot stuff, which is just much, much easier. It is going to be just an easier proposition for him. I think I said this over the summer. I really think that like he's going to shoot 35% from three, 36% from three, and it's going to be just fine. I know there were people that were really concerned last year because he was shooting so poorly. And I think he got in his own head. And I think if he gets some easier shots, he sees a few go in the first couple of weeks of the season, I think it's going to be just fine. I think he's going to be right up there where you need him to be, and IU is going to be just fine on that front. My hottest take is that people are still concerned. Well, we don't have enough shooters. We don't have this. They're gonna shoot fine. They're gonna shoot fine. They're not gonna beat the door down with 3-point shooting. But they have so many different ways they can do business. It's not going to be something where they're going to need to make a ton of threes. They're going to make 6 or 7 of them a game, and that's going to be just fine. And I think that is going to be enough to win games most nights. I just think because they have so many other options, it is going to free up these guys who didn't shoot great percentages the last year, like Trey Galloway, Miles Rice, Kanan Carlisle, Mackenzie Mbaka, all 4 of those guys. None of those guys shot great percentages last year, but they were all doing so much within their offense, and now they're all going to be doing less because they can collectively lean on each other, and they're going to get easier shots. I think their percentages are going to go up as a result. So I think that's going to be fine.
And speaking of which, Luke Goody is one of the guys that came in. He's probably the most natural fit because he should have been an Indiana Hoosier to begin with. Wasn't recruited by Archie Miller before he went off to Illinois. One of the things he said yesterday, which I don't have it queued up, but he talked about having a winning, being involved in a winning culture, that he knows how to win, and that is something that he's bringing to the team. But I wish I had that queued up to play, but well, can't even get that. Let's see what this is. Luke Goody.
Enjoyed my short time here so far, and I'm looking forward to the season for sure.
What's your impression of this team at this juncture? Obviously, it's too early to say much, but what's your impression?
Yeah, this is probably, other than last year, this is the best I feel about a team going into the season so far. And it's right there with last year's team. We got everything we need: great bigs, great guards, great wings, and a great coaching staff. So heading into the season, everybody on the team and in the program is excited, and we're looking forward to it.
Last year's Illinois team was led by the guards. How do you kind of compare and contrast Shannon Griffin to Miles Rice, Kanan Carlisle, and all the other guys?
Yeah, it's a little different. Those guys were a lot bigger, but these guys are super dynamic. I mean, since the day Miles got here, I knew he was going to be a special player. Watched him a lot at Washington State last year. I actually scouted him in the tournament, so was very familiar with his game, and it's exactly what you saw last year and at a higher level. Kanan as well. You know, I wasn't as familiar with him just being out in the Pac-12, but you know, he's a great player. He's super dynamic, really good with the ball in his hands. And the guys that have come back, you know, it's been great to play with Malik now instead of playing against him. And, you know, Trey hasn't been playing in much just because of everything. But, Mac, playing with Mac has been great. So seeing all these guys now that I've competed against and see what they bring, I think we got the makings to be great this year.
What do you remember from those guys' games and the games you played against them?
Yeah, I mean, Mac's as gifted a scorer in the country. I think Malik has the potential to be the best 4 or 5 in the conference at least. He's dominant in practice, dominant. Last year I was 16 and 9 as a sophomore. So, he's going to take that big jump again and be great for us.
We just talked about playing smaller, and you're obviously a piece of that. Just what does that look like, especially when you do have those guards? I mean, I think Malik was talking about how Miles moves so fast. If you're not ready, he'll beat you down the floor. You won't even see the ball. Just what's it like? What are the keys from your perspective to being able to run some of those smaller lineups and maybe spread the floor a little bit?
Yeah, well, it helps out because I did it last year a little bit. I played the 4 before. Mac is capable of playing the 4. He's 6'8" and strong guy. But, I think having me and Mac on the floor at the same time, especially in a lineup like that with Malik, who's also a capable shooter and has really come a long way this summer with the shot. An underrated part of the game is the spacing of shooters. Everybody wants to talk about how, I'm going to come in and knock down shots, and Max and knock down shots, and that's what we need. But you need shooters for space, and that's really how it is. So when you have dynamic guards, you can't double team off the screen roll. You can't double team Ball on the post anymore. So I think it's going to open up the floor for those playmakers and Miles, K9, Trey, guys like that much more this year.
You've got a chance to scout these guys before when you were in Illinois, but now that you're here and around them and that, is there anything special about any of the guys that you're kind of like, oh, I didn't know that, or they do this well, or just off the floor?
Yeah, when you scout guys, all you see is them on the court. You don't know, what kind of guys they are. And since the day I've got here, these guys have turned into my best friends. Anthony Leal is one of my great friends now. Scouted against him, played against him since I was a freshman in high school. Never knew him at all. And I come to the team this year, him and Trey have become great friends. I really enjoy Malik and Mac and those guys. Kai spent a lot of time with those guys off the court. So I think that's the thing that I've enjoyed the most, because I know what they can do on the court. I've seen it. They develop their games just like everybody else, and nothing really surprised me in terms of that. But just how high character those guys are, man. It's going to be a great season, and I think character and people buying in is the key to success at this level. And I think everybody's got the right mindset this year.
Talk about your roles between were you brought in as a shooter, obviously what you were known for, and did at Illinois. But talk about, are there any differences as your role on this team as there were on the Illinois team?
Yeah, for sure. Coach when he brought me in, he kind of compared my situation a little bit to Miller Kopp's, just in a more dynamic role. He wants me to be able to score off of a couple bounces, not be a primary ball handler by any means, but be able to get a rebound and bring it up the floor and initiate offense, stuff like that. Just grow my game in that sense. And a big thing that's been good for us this off season is it kind of looked to me to help with the winning. Just I've been fortunate enough to be on teams that win. I get it. That's somebody asked me earlier, what's the biggest difference in your game? I was like, that you developed, and I said, I've learned how to win. The high schoolers have no clue what it takes to win at this level. I was fortunate enough to play for a great coach, win 2 Big Ten championships, and go to an Elite 8. And I understand that. I know what the culture needs to be around here, and I've helped try and build that. And I think it's been great this summer. Everybody's bought in. We had our off day yesterday, and every single person on the team was in the gym getting extra shots in. And I think that's can contribute to a great season.
What are some of the things you've done to try to bring that winning attitude that you're accustomed to this team?
Yeah, lead by example is the biggest thing for me. I can't be preaching culture and guys getting an extra shots like that if I'm not doing it. So me and Anthony shoot together every single day, try and get a 45 minute to an hour workout every day. And we try and encourage guys and bring them along. And everybody's bought in. It's been great to see, honestly. We got guys in here, and everybody they said worked out before 10:30 a.m. yesterday on the off day. So when you have that, man, and guys buy in, that's how you become successful.
Luke Goody there, and he is very well spoken, and not only just well spoken, he just sounds like how he ups his approach to the game, very, very intellectually.
Yeah, absolutely, and you said it right there. He did talk about how to win, right? Like that's how basically he's like, high schoolers have no idea how to win, which is true, right? Like you come into college and you don't know what it takes, and so he believes that he has kind of that knowledge now and he probably does after winning 2 Big Ten championships the last 2 years, going to an Elite 8 last season with Illinois. And so he's going to bring that here. I think that's why he was a really important addition. That's the thing is guys like Ballo was a very important addition. They won a lot when he was at Arizona. Like the guys that they brought in this offseason have good pedigree as well. And I think that was really important. And I actually think it's a really good situation to drop Bryson Tucker into, because he comes in as the only freshman and he can learn from basically everyone on the roster to be like, hey, this is what it takes to get this done. And then he has so much natural talent that it's going to get him on the court faster. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out as well, because I think that he could be a guy who can contribute if he kind of develops a little bit more quickly than he otherwise would. And I think being the only freshman might give him a chance to do that.
Dylan Sinn with us from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. We need to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk football. Indiana, Purdue, Notre Dame. They're all heading in different directions, and we'll talk about that and more here at the Hard Truth Studios right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Curtis just be a guy who's a veteran guy, played a lot of football and seen a lot of things prior to coming here, just to help him gain the trust of guys, learn your system, and go forward with it with some manner of consistency. How important has that been for this ball club?
Well, to me, that's the key, the drill. And
we've had great success the last 3 years with the 1-year transfers. We took Todd Centeo, who developed and was player of the year in the league on offense. And then we got Jordan McLeod. They were both older guys that had played, and Curtis obviously had track record before he came. So it's not like you're teaching a young guy how to play the position. You got older guys that know how to play the position, and now you're just fitting them into your offensive structure and then build upon the things that they do well. And so, that position, there's just so many things that go on. To have an older guy, you can't put a value on it.
Curtis Rourke, the quarterback for Indiana, that was head coach Curt Cignetti talking about his veteran QB, Dylan Sinn, from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with me. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Studios here on this Thursday. College football entering week 4 as the Indiana Hoosiers will go in looking for their 4th straight win. If that were to happen, Dylan, Curt Cignetti will become the first Indiana coach in 140 years of football to win his first 4 games as coach. That's mind-boggling. Purdue, they've got some struggles, and it can't be looking good for Ryan Walters, even though it's only year 2. I don't know which direction they're going. They still have time to figure it out, I guess. And then, of course, Notre Dame came in and just beat the ever-loving tar out of Purdue last week. They cost me a parlay, daggone it. I had faith. I had faith in Purdue. They were at home. I didn't think Notre Dame was that good. And holy crap, Notre Dame just played like they were PO'd.
They absolutely did. They came out and they won. They won that game in the first 5 minutes, right? I remember on the kickoff, one of the Notre Dame players, I can't remember which one. I wish I could pull up the video, but he just laid out the one of the return blockers for Purdue because Notre Dame got the ball first. He just laid him out. And it was like, oh, well, that might be enough of that.
Phone center.
Absolutely. And there were several of those in the first couple of minutes of that game where it was just like, oh, Notre Dame is here to play, and Purdue is kind of just deer in headlights. Whoa, we didn't expect this. And I don't think you learned more about Notre Dame in that game than you did Purdue. I think Notre Dame you learned that they are capable of putting that kind of a beating on a team in a way that I wasn't sure they were. I didn't think they were capable of winning that big, even if they played their best. And so I think that we learned a lot about Notre Dame and how they can construct an offense around a quarterback that is struggling to throw the ball right now. And they can still move the ball, and their defense is really good, and they're going to be okay as long as they don't fall asleep again, which is what they did against NIU. At Purdue, I think it was more they just weren't ready for that level of physicality. And I think it's going to be one of those things where they were supposed to lose that game, whether it was by 10 points or by 55, it doesn't matter. You were supposed to lose. Okay, now you're going on the road and playing Oregon State, right? If you go in there and get a win at Oregon State, a team that is not anything compared to what it was last year, that lost almost all of its good players to the portal, lost its coach. If you win that game, you're 2-1, which is what you thought you wanted to be before the season started anyway, and you're in good shape, right? And so I do think that there is a chance for them to bounce back pretty strongly here and just drive that memory away and just be like, hey, treat it like it was a 10-point loss and don't treat it any differently, right? And so you still have 3 opportunities this year to go get a really marquee win. You still play Ohio State, you still play Penn State, you still play Oregon. You get a couple of those at home. You're going to have opportunities to win big games. Just go win the one this week, get to 2-1 and move on from there. So I think we learned more about Notre Dame in that game. I think we'll learn a lot more about Purdue this week and how they respond. If they lose that game and lose by 10, 14 points, you start talking about how this season could really go off the rails for Purdue.
Yeah, 66 points, giving up 66 points. IU's 77 they scored against Western Illinois was big. This is bigger. This is against a Big Ten opponent on the road, no less. Yeah. So, man, that's an attention getter. But it has to be. Notre Dame has to do everything possible now because their record their schedule is rather weak, with the exception of USC at the end of the year, as far as maintaining a spot in the college football playoffs. But of course, as long as it says Notre Dame on their chest, they've got a leg up, which is horse crap. I don't even want to get into that. But anyway, they've got to. There's no margin for error. They cannot lose a second game to me at all. I don't care who it's against. They cannot lose a second game.
No, absolutely not. And they do have they play Miami, Ohio this weekend, so they have a chance to go out and beat the crap out of a MAC team, which they would like to do. I think you probably should go out and do that. I would recommend doing that if I were Notre Dame. And then next week they host Louisville, which I think is a pretty big game, which is a pretty big game for them. Louisville is currently ranked. They beat the Tar out of the first two teams they've played. And they beat Notre Dame last year at Louisville. So Notre Dame gets them at home this year. And that would be a really nice win for them to kind of open some eyes. If you beat Purdue badly, if you beat Miami pretty handily, and then you go beat Louisville next week, you can at least start to convince some people that loss to NIU is a little bit of a fluke, that you've kind of figured some things out. But you have to go win these games first. You got to beat Miami first. You have to do it relatively handily. You can't mess around, and then you have.
I think we may have lost Dustin for just Dylan for just a
piece of what they're doing here, and so and so I do think that that's part of what they need to be doing here is beating Louisville pretty easily next week.
Yeah, Purdue, they have got to, like you said, they need to go out and get a win, although that's going to be tough to do on the road, although Oregon State has not shown themselves to be anything special. So they've got to bounce back, because after that, they enter Big Ten play and where they'll stay. And that could be another bad year for Purdue, which would nothing's going to happen coaching wise, I don't think, because he's new enough that he'll get a third season. But that with Indiana having the season that I expected them to have, boy, that's going to carry massive weight in the state for recruiting, because Purdue has had the leg up over Indiana in state recruiting in football, without question.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think that Indiana could flip that with a really good season this year, especially if Purdue struggles. I just think that I know that Purdue fans are frustrated with Ryan Walters after a season and a little bit here, especially after the loss on Saturday. That was the worst loss in the history of the program in terms of margin of defeat. They had never lost a game by 59 points before. So that matters. Like, that is something that you shouldn't really have happen, especially when I believe you upgraded the talent on this roster in the offseason. Now, one thing I will say is that they are missing one of their best players in cornerback Nyland Green, who has missed the first two games and is questionable for this week. He was the top corner available in the portal this offseason. So I think that getting him back will help pretty significantly. It's just a question of when they get him back from his injury that he suffered in camp. But the tackling needs to be better. That was the thing that really struck me for Purdue in that game, was how bad the tackling was. Notre Dame was just getting 3, 4, 5 extra yards every time there was contact. Riley Leonard, the quarterback, was not sliding. He was running through the defense, breaking tackles, running away from people. You can't let that happen. That is just their defense. And that's Ryan Walters' whole thing, is defense and physicality. And you can't let that happen if that's your whole thing.
Yeah, just the massive changes for Indiana have been great as well, and to see that to continue is amazing. Of course, this week they're playing Charlotte, a team that they should also. The spread's 28 and a half, whatever. I still think they cover that spread. I think that Charlotte their secondary gives up a lot of passing yards, and Indiana is really kind of clicking right now with they're in their passing game with Curtis Rourke, and the receivers are starting to come together. Then on top of that, if you start focusing on that, they'll start to run the ball on you. And while they did what they needed to do running on the ground against UCLA, they're going to have to be better later on against other Big Ten teams during games on running the ball. I think they averaged less than 4 yards a carry, although they didn't need it as much, and it was very opportune when they did run the ball. So, but man, this is a start to the season that obviously no one outside of Bloomington expected. Indiana, picked by the Big Ten media to finish second to last, right in front of Purdue. So I have an article that's going to come out later, but I'm telling you right now, Kurt Cignetti is going to win Big Ten Coach of the Year. I wish that there was a way to bet that, because I would bet that. And then he is very, very potentially going to likely be in a top 3 candidate for National Coach of the Year. Just because, look at what, there has been no other program that has changed like this. This program will, by the time this season ends, will have seen 11-1 is plausible. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but 9-3, 8-4, even if they went 8-4, this is a 3-9 team last year, a 1-8 Big Ten team. It's going to be wild, because I think they're going to be in the fight for a college football playoff spot, as absolutely nuts as that sounds. But it's just a fact. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but it is more than plausible, because they're going to be favored in 8 of their final 9 games. To me, that's just a fact.
Yeah, I do think that there is not a team on the schedule that scares you except for Ohio State, right? And we don't know how good Nebraska is right now. I think Nebraska might get there in terms of
Nebraska scares me.
Yeah.
As far as, because I know they're good. I have nothing but respect for them. They have a solid defensive front.
Yeah.
And that true freshman quarterback, forget about true freshman. That dude looks smooth as butter.
Absolutely. And I'm on board with you there. I think most people want to see more from Nebraska before they kind of say that they're ready to go this year, because it's been so long since we've seen a good Nebraska team. But I do think this team is good. So those are probably the 2 best teams on the schedule. But you win this week, you get Maryland, Northwestern the next 2 weeks after that. I think you can get away with losing one of those games and still feeling okay about where you're at. And so going into that Nebraska game, you have a chance to really make a statement against the Nebraska team that might be 6-1 at that point.
I think Indiana needs to be 6-0 going into that game.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It's not acceptable to lose to Maryland or Northwestern. It's just not, because Indiana is a better team than both of them.
That's true. I think that's true.
Maryland, because it's going to be a home game. So it's neither. There are no losses in the front 6 of this schedule that I see as acceptable losses now.
That's fair. I think that it's fair to say, based on what we've seen this season, we saw Maryland lose to Michigan State. You shouldn't lose that game at home if you're IU. We saw Northwestern look rough against Duke. They struggled, and their offense is just not good. Indiana should be able to just kind of sit on them. You'd like to think that game is on the road. You never know. I believe Northwestern's coach is actually a really, really good coach. He won Big Ten Coach of the Year last year. They just don't have an offense this year. They don't have a way to move the ball consistently. Indiana should just be able to sit on them. So yeah, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility at all for them to start 6-0, which is crazy, because we talked about this before the season, and you kind of have to hedge, right? You have to say, oh well, it's not sure whether they can get there because it's so many new pieces and all of that, but it's right there. It's right there in front of them. There is nothing stopping them except basically if they kind of don't show up for a game, if they kind of go to sleep a little bit. So if they can avoid doing that, I think that they do get there, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Dustin or Dylan, what is up next for you, brother?
I will be in South Bend on Saturday for Notre Dame, Miami. Very excited for that. Just to see Notre Dame try to get right here against a MAC team, which is not something you think you'd be saying, but they do have to do that.
They're not playing Miami of Florida this year.
They are not. That's true. They I believe they are next year, so that should be a lot of fun. But they will play Miami on Saturday. I'll be there. I will be covering high school football tomorrow night, East Noble and Leo, which is one of the biggest games in Class 4A every year. Very excited for that. So I will be there as well. Looking forward to it.
We're looking forward to you, brother. Thank you so much. As always, appreciate you. Look forward to next week, and next time we see you. It's good seeing you yesterday.
Absolutely, Jim. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Thank you, my friend. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette joining us. Greatly appreciate him as always, as he normally joins us on Wednesdays and will next week. Just had to move the schedule around this week because of IU Basketball Media Day. Big thanks to Chris Denari of the Indiana Pacers, Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com, and Shannon Griffith, the coach, for joining us as he does each and every week as well. Don't forget tonight at Hoosier Hangs East, you've got Inside Indiana Football with Don Fisher and Coach Kurt Signetti. I'll see you there. I'll be there if you can make it out. Otherwise, we're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.